friend Adam Bartley, and we're here to welcome you to the final performance of the world premiere production of Visible Language by Mary Reesing and Andy Welcher. This has been an extraordinary experience for all of us. It would never have been possible without the collaboration, the co-production between my company, Avant Bard, and the Gallaudet University Theater and Dance Program. We want to thank them for being our hosts, for being our collaborators, for all the incredible work that they've done to make this possible. We're very proud and pleased to have been their partner on this production. I wanted to mention that this performance will be followed immediately afterwards by a post-show discussion. This unscripted after chat will start, as I say, about a minute after the show comes down. So please join us for that. I also wanted to mention that some of the equipment you see in the house out here is because this performance is being live streamed broadcast on the web all across the globe by HowlRound, the national theater networking site and blog. They call themselves the Theater Commons. We're very grateful to them, and we're very grateful to you all for being here to help us do this show right and broadcast it all around the globe. So thank you very much to them and to you for being here. I wanted to, I wanted to encourage you to turn off your cell phones, please, at this point. And I apologize to the people who I'm going to inconvenience in just a moment when I walk across to get to my place for the show so I can monitor things. But again, thank you so much for coming and enjoy the show.
What did you say? I didn't understand you.
What did you say? I didn't understand you.
Excuse me, we're lost. Can you help us?
What did you say? I didn't understand you. What did you say? I didn't understand. I didn't understand what you were saying. I didn't understand.
Only she would learn to speak. If only she would learn to speak.
If only she would learn to speak. If only she would learn to speak.
If only I knew what she said. If only I knew what she said. I could tell her how I feel.
I would tell you it's
I would
okay.
ask for help.
We'd understand each other. We'd understand each other.
We'd understand each other. We'd understand each other. We'd understand.
My dear friends, as you know, over the past 35 years, The National College for the Deaf at Kendall Green has grown enormously. In 1857, when I, Edward Minor Gallaudet, became director, we were a school for 5 desperately poor deaf children, housed in a shack. I thought that my father's dream that every deaf child receive an education could never come true.
Honorable gentlemen, I, Alexander Graham Bell, have daily experience in my own home of the value of teaching the deaf to speak. Because she has learned to articulate correctly, my dear wife, Mabel Hubbard Bell, easily passes for hearing. Using my father's visible speech system, I myself taught her to speak.
Inclusion, isolation, cooperation, separation, translation, interpretation, education, articulation. Give me a try, just say the word, do what you must, believe in me, to love you
Now is the time to embrace another challenge. Now is the time to seize the leadership role in deaf education. Now is the time to create a new generation of American educators, American teachers of the deaf, and lift our deaf out of their ignorance. The deaf must be educated.
My heart bleeds for the speaking young men at the National College for the Deaf at Kendall Green, who are placed under deaf teachers and must study with deaf companions. In such circumstances, their speech will surely wither away, leaving them trapped in a deaf world. Their education will be wasted. The deaf must be taught to speak. Like fast horses in a race for a better world, we must not handicap these young people with the weight of poor education. Instead, we must enlighten them, spur them on to greater triumph. Isolation, cooperation, separation, translation, interpretation, education, articulation. Give me a sign, just say the word, to what you want, but we just need to walk you through.
Let me help you. So, we're here, but I'm not quite sure what, I can't quite see. So, here we are at the B&O station in Washington, D.C. It's been a long journey, but now we've arrived. Are we where we need to be? She smells the crowds. She feels the thunder of a city in motion. Really take us with it. She's right. Where is she going now? What will happen next to me? Her life is spinning on so quickly. Moving forward, calling me where? It's been a long journey, but now we've arrived. Are we where we need to be? Are we where we need to be? Oh, I see the way. Follow me.
So, Dr. Bell, you seem unusually restless tonight.
Oh, please.
Or perhaps
Oh.
life too easy.
Yes.
Are you still satisfied with your decision to pass up the professorship in articulation at Kenneth Green?
Minor, it's been 20 years. Water under the bridge.
Still, afraid you've lost your touch? Distracted by other things?
Well, Minor, there was the small matter of needing to invent the telephone that got in my way.
Yes, that. And the millions it made you, Alec. No small thing, I suppose, but still, you might feel that the field of deaf communication is passing you by. Things are progressing at lightning speed.
Well, that they are.
We can still use you, Alec.
Oh.
You know you are still the best instructor of articulation around. And wonderful things are afoot at the Deaf College. We're putting a lot of resources into our oral program.
Oh,
Well,
Minor.
you know I've always agreed with you that our students should learn to speak if they can.
Truly. I find that difficult to fathom. After all, your mother, God rest her soul, never learned to speak.
That was her choice, not mine. Oh, you misunderstand as always. It's just that articulation instruction is expensive. We must be practical. The college has very few resources.
Oh, your offer flatters me, old man, but no, I don't think so. My health, my headaches.
I've spoken with General Cogswell. Do you know him? A fine man and a member of the U.S. House of Representatives, and a strong voice on our board of directors. He thinks that with a little work, the U.S. Congress could be persuaded to increase our subsidy.
Oh, you can count on me for a donation, of course.
We'd rather have you.
Oh, well, perhaps just one lecture. Ennals, my lad. Oh, please. Congratulations on your honors degree. Quite admirable. Well, I'm sure that you have a brilliant future ahead of you. Have you settled on a profession? Well, teaching the classics, the old Odyssey and Aeneid. You don't lack for ambition, do you? Well, good luck, lad.
Ennals is one of Kendall Green's most promising young men.
Yes.
He has what it takes to become a great scholar and teacher. I have high hopes for him.
It is such a shame that he does not speak. If he did, he could teach at a first-class institution. Now, I suppose he must resign himself to a post at a deaf school in the hinterlands.
Finally, Mr. Carlton! Finally, Mr. Carlton! My carriage.
That reminds me, Minor, before you go, there's a rumor afoot. Is it true that you are thinking of starting a teacher's college at Kendall Green?
Yes, I think it's time that we increase the number of truly skilled teachers of the deaf. It's a most urgent need, as I'm sure you'll warmly agree.
Oh, who would argue? So you will be training your deaf students to become teachers of the deaf?
No deaf students will be admitted to the teachers' college. That would kill our oral program. Deaf teachers cannot teach articulation.
Good thought, Dad. Mike, I forgot. Please do come to our next Wednesday evening soiree. Mrs. Bell would be quite cross with me if I neglected to ask you. The little deaf-blind girl, Helen Keller, will be there.
Truly. Well, I've been reading those letters of hers that you have published in the newspaper. She's quite the charm.
Oh, well, she's really the most wonderful thing. The fellas from the Geographic Society are going to quiz her. It should be very interesting stuff. Such a fascinating case.
Well, I will check my schedule, Alec. And it is a most intriguing case, especially for an oralist such as yourself. No deaf-blind child has ever been taught to speak. Without sight or hearing, signs are the only possible method of communication.
Minor, I've just decided it. I'm going to use my father's visible speech system to teach Helen Keller to speak. Yes. There.
You are going to teach a deaf child who is blind to speak. Well, that is amusing. You have been away from the field of deaf communication far too long.
You don't think I can do it?
Honestly.
Honestly.
Well, no, I do not think you will succeed. You are a good teacher, but no.
How little you know me. I'm not only that good, I will teach her to speak by next Wednesday. And not just articulation, but articulation, modulation, and rhythm. In fact, I will have her demonstrate her speech to the Geographic Society on Wednesday. Yes.
Well, that's only 9 days away. Okay. Well, this I will have to see the great Dr. Bell embarrassed. Please tell Mrs. Bell to add me to the top of the list of attendees.
Well, do please bring your lovely wife. We see her so rarely. One would think you weren't married at all.
Sorry to disappoint, but Mrs. Gallaudet is tucked away in Hartford. She's with the children in our summer home, the Washington Heat Tree. And also company.
Ah,
Well, I really must be going, and I imagine you need to get busy right away. So much to do.
always. But that's the cost of progress. And we must all do our part to move the world forward. The stapler, the postage stamp, antiseptics, the safety pin, the telegraph, the elevator, the internal combustion engine, the machine gun, dynamite, the telephone, the phonograph, the fountain pen, toilets, papers, pasteurization, the coffee pot, the dishwasher, the sewing machine, the typewriter, radar, contact lenses, electromagnetic induction, matches, accurate baby formula, potato chips, basketball, Christmas lights, the refrigerated real car. It's a century of innovation, a century of progress, anything can happen. Our world is taking, rearranging from one moment to the next. 1817.
My father brings sign language to America.
1819.
My father teaches his deaf wife to sign.
1864.
My father invents the visible speech system.
1873.
I teach my deaf wife to speak.
1857.
I turn 20 to take over Kendall School for the deaf.
1876.
I invent the telephone.
1864.
President Lincoln makes me president of a college.
1878.
I become a millionaire.
A millionaire.
It's a century of innovation, a century of progress, anything can happen. Our world is changing, rearranging from one moment to the next.
1865.
I learned to lobby Congress.
1878.
I meet Queen Victoria.
1866.
I found a gorgeous new campus.
1888.
I found the National Geographic Society.
1879.
I father Marion, my 8th child.
Oh my, you're for white. It's a century of innovation, a century of progress, anything can happen.
Our world is changing, rearranging. This world is changing, it's rearranging.
Last goodnight, Bob. Dan Edison and his infernal inventions. These modern men and their need to show off, all with innovation at any cost. Oh, Mrs. Bell. I'm sorry. No, I'm sorry. I am Anne Sullivan, and this is Helen Keller. Oh, we were coming. Oh, yes, of course. But tomorrow. Alan must have gotten the dates confused. You weren't expecting us until tomorrow? How embarrassing! Oh, my, I am truly not sorry. Well, I'm sorry, I'm not familiar with sign language. Well, I'm sure that Dr. Bell told me you were deaf. I don't sign. Oh, my father insisted I speak proper English. Oh, she would like to feel your face with her fingers to see you. Do you mind terribly? Oh, no, of course not. She finds you beautiful. Thank you, little one. She is very impressed by your gown. Whoa! Oh, she wants to know, is it from Stern Brothers? So, it's the no, work in Paris. Oh. My father was recently there on business and brought this back. Miss Sullivan, could I trouble you to face me when you speak?
Oh, Helen, dear! Oh, yeah.
My dearest Dr. Bell, how glad I am to see you.
But how did you know it was me?
Well, I could feel the stomping of your feet in the floorboards, and I could smell the lovely pomade you use on your hair.
Oh, amazing! You discover parts of the world through your senses of smell and touch that the rest of us are completely blind to.
Well, I guess.
Oh, and Helen, my, how you've grown. You are quite the little lady now. Soon the boys will be lining up outside your door with roses, fighting for the privilege of making you their little wife. But do promise me you will marry someone as brilliant as you are. It is the duty of gifted women to marry brilliant men and have gifted offspring. Eugenics, you know. Oh, you will have lovely children.
But I am sure that I will never find someone that I love as much as you and Papa.
Helen, your signing, it's vastly improved. Oh, and I have truly loved the letters in Braille you have sent me. How sweet your thoughts are. It means so much to me to have you communicate so clearly. I hope you didn't mind that I had your letters to be published in that New York paper. The press loves you so. Well, Miss Sullivan, the time has come to start working together on Helen's articulation.
Oh, do you really think I could learn to speak to my sister, to my mother, to my dear little doggy, to the press?
Of course you can. Why, when Mrs. Bell was about your age, she learned to speak in only a few months. Isn't that right, Maple?
I had a truly wonderful teacher.
Oh, and I'm glad that you mentioned the press, Helen dear. A very special journalist has contacted me. Yes, she wishes to interview you. Yes. Have you ever heard of Laura Redding? Searing.
Oh, the famous deaf war
To be sure. Perhaps you might meet with her tomorrow. Yeah.
I would love to.
Alice, I can't wait for you. Mrs. Searing a divorcee.
Oh,
I don't think it's appropriate that an innocent young lady.
divorcee nonsense, Mrs. Bell, nonsense. We mustn't judge it. She's a perfectly lovely woman and a very influential journalist. And speaking of Helen's adoring public, I think we should do some sort of demonstration of Helen's speech for the Geographic Society next Wednesday evening. Several journalists will even be attending our little soiree. And Miss Sullivan?
But that seems a little hasty.
Helen's a smart girl. Mwah. Good. Glad that's settled. Shall we adjourn to the parlor?
Would either of you young ladies like to see a variation on famous spelling that Alice developed? It involves a specially made glove. Alec is always looking for new ways to educate the children.
Oh, Mrs. Bell, how fascinating. Oh.
I am only too pleased to translate for such an esteemed colleague and benefactor.
The system of visible speech was invented by my father, A. Melville Bell, professor of vocal physiology. It constitutes a new system of phonetic writing, based not upon sounds themselves, but upon the actions of vocal organs in producing them. Visible speech is intended to produce accurate articulation by both the deaf and the hearing of every language known to man. Now, I want to make clear that visible speech takes no part in the contest between articulation on the one hand and signs and manual alphabets on the other. Rather, as my father, Melville Bell, has stated so clearly so many times, here is a means by which one can produce perfect articulation from deaf mutes. Make use of it as you choose. Now, as you may know, the visible speech system is not necessarily associated with lip reading, but the symbols can materially assist deaf pupils by showing them what to look for in the mouths of hearing persons. Yes.
So through this system, every deaf mute can learn to speak.
That is our hope. So far, hundreds of deaf mutes have learned to speak using the system.
Thank you. How long would you say it takes to master this system?
Well, it varies. Among the profoundly deaf, most students learn some words almost immediately, but full mastery can and should take several years. Articulation instruction should not be hurried. After all, a hearing child takes several years to learn to speak, and many more to speak correctly.
Thank you. Would you say articulation is a 5-year process?
5 years is a good estimate.
5 years, eh? That long.
And only hearing teachers can teach articulation?
That is correct. Now I have a chart here. Now, as you've no doubt deduced by now, sign language is easier to acquire than speech. However, the beauty of this system is that once you put your mouth in the positions indicated by the signs, you cannot help but make the sound represented. All right, now look at the chart behind me. You will notice the outline of a face turned to the right has been drawn, and a representation of the inside of the mouth has been added. Now, as you can see, there are three fundamental positions of the tongue. One involves the back part of the tongue, the second involves the middle part of the tongue, and the third involves the front and back of the tongue. Like so. Back, middle, front and back. Now then, we combine these tongue positions with 3 degrees of approach: high, mid, and low, like so. By slightly altering these sounds, by rounding the lips, we then are able to make 18 distinguishable noises. With a few slight alterations to these 18 sounds, we can reproduce any sound in any language on the 18 continents. On the 7 continents.
French,
Oui.
Swahili,
Dio.
Inuit,
Oh. E.
and can this system be taught in a large classroom such as this?
Well, as with most articulation methods, visible speech is best taught one-on-one. Currently, I am working one-on-one with Miss Helen Keller. Yes, yes. Well, and who could argue with money?
Oh! Thank you, Dr. Bell. That was very enlightening. Students? And now I must show you the progress on our new dormitories.
Ah, this way.
I will expect written reports from each of you on Dr. Bell's presentation. Yes, please give them to Mr. Adams on Monday. Speech will connect you to the hearing world, allow you to teach both deaf and hearing students, to explore your careers, better support your families, and become an agent of change.
I don't leave you.
Very humorous indeed. But we all have things to say, and I, for one, believe the world needs to hear them.
I want you to be heard. I want you to be heard. I have these to stand. I have these to stand. Talk about Christmas. I hear in my eyes. And now go on and talk on and to have my They can't forgive me. They can't get on him. They do for me to be so they are. I want you to be kind. I want you to be kind. I have need to stand. I have need to stand.
Lovely talk, Dr. Bell. Lovely talk.
Oh, well, visible speech is a pretty straightforward system.
So straightforward. You can teach a 13-year-old deaf-blind girl to speak. How is he coming along, little Miss Keller?
Oh, good. Good. A few minor hitches.
Oh, so she's already speaking.
No.
Today's Friday. Very interesting. I'm so looking forward to next Wednesday. You know what would be magnificent if Ennals here could observe you teaching, Helen Keller. You would learn so much.
Your own personal spy.
Oh, not at all. Ennals?
Well, why not? Yes. Today, Helen, we will work on the consonant P. Now, P requires a closing of the lips and a gentle puff of breath. Puff, puff, like so. Puff, puff, puff. Now you try. Good. Once more. Puff. Good. Well, now we shall add the vowel E. Now, for E, the tongue is high toward the front of the mouth, and the sound should rise from the back to the front of the mouth, like so. E. Now you. Well, good. It's a start. It will take a little work, but good. Yes.
Helen! 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 This is no time. Oh, Mrs. Searing! It is so nice to meet you. I am sorry that we are late. I prefer to communicate through writing. Oh, yes, well, I'm not sure how... Sit down. Sit down. See, no time to waste. Please, I'm sorry, I can't read this. My eyes, you see?
My copy boy here will translate.
Oh, well, I understand sign.
Let's give your eyes a break for once.
How forward thinking of this newspaper to hire a copy boy who knows sign.
Oh, we're in the middle of a century of progress. Perhaps soon every workplace will have employees who speak sign. However, in this case, it's pure coincidence. His father is deaf, and like many deaf men in the nation's capital, he works downstairs with the printing machines. The infernal racket of the machines doesn't bother them, you see. All right, time is fleeting. Let's jump right in. Do you mind if I type while we talk? I've written down some questions for you. Helen, I expect you'll want to feel my face.
Sorry.
How old were you when you realized you wanted to be a teacher of the deaf?
Well, I never really wanted to be a teacher.
So you don't like teaching?
Well, it's not that I don't like
It's
teaching.
a burden to you?
It's not a burden.
It's easy then. Anyone could do it?
Easy. I work from dawn to dusk, 7 days a week, translating for a child. My hands are never still. It's exhausting.
So you wish you were Helen Keller's teacher. You wish you had never met her.
No! You are putting words in my mouth.
As you put words in Helen's hands. Oh, please translate. Helen, now that you can read and write, what are your plans for the future?
In the fall, I will attend the Perkins School for the Blind, where it will be my great pleasure to study literature, languages, and history.
And after you graduate?
Well, like any girl, I hope to meet the man of my dreams. I wish to return to dearest Alabama, marry, have many, many children, cats, dogs, and a sweet little goat.
There is no such thing as the man of your dreams.
Pardon?
Well, I heard you were a writer. I read your letters in the newspaper. They were quite good.
Yes, I love to write. It gives me such pleasure to express my thoughts to the world. Do you like your typewriter? Do you think I could use one?
Of course you can learn to use a typewriter. So tell me more about your views of marriage.
Does it hurt your fingers to type? Is it terribly difficult to learn how? May I try out your typewriter?
Oh, the dang blasted typewriter. My daughter loves it too. Yes, you can try out the typewriter, but under one condition. One condition. You must promise not to marry until you have fulfilled your dreams.
Mrs. Searing, I hardly think that is appropriate. But Mrs. Searing, you are married yourself.
I'm divorced. Always check your facts, child. And to be a divorcee is a bad thing. My husband dragged me all around the country, from post to pole. He nearly destroyed my writing career. And he has left me and my daughter without any money and in quite a difficult situation. And my husband is a good man.
I don't understand.
Trust your brains, women, not your emotions.
But I like boys. I like the way they smell.
Ah, yes, that is always the problem. We all like the way men smell. Now, all this is very interesting, but hardly newsworthy. Let's get back to the matter at hand. Helen, many have said that you are not very smart, and that Anne Sullivan makes up all of your answers. How do you feel about that?
Minor, we really must talk about the teacher's college.
Absolutely. Chairman Randall! I'm thrilled to see you looking so well.
I feel greatly improved. Greatly improved. I don't believe all those rumors you've heard about me and cancer. They are balderdash. Now I hear you have ambitious ideas to share with the committee.
God's work is always ambitious.
Ah, true. I'd like this meeting to come to order. Now. Well, President Gallaudet, the Supervisory Committee has reviewed your projected budget for the coming year. We have recommended to the House of Representatives that they sustain Kendall Green's funding at the current level. We have also voted to recommend an increase in your tuition subsidy to allow another 10 scholarship students to be admitted to the college. Thank you. Now I will turn the meeting over to President Gallaudet.
Thank you, Chairman Randall. At this point, I would like to put forth an idea that I think will excite you all. As you know, over the past 35 years, the National College for Deaf Mutes at Kendall Green has grown enormously. In 1857, we were a school for 5 desperately poor deaf children, housed in a shack. Today, in 1891, we are an accredited college with a large body of accomplished students. We are an architectural treasure on 96 splendid acres with a view of the Capitol. The famed architect, Frederick Law Olmsted himself, designed our campus. But now is the time to embrace another challenge. Now is the time to seize the leadership role in deaf education. Now is the time to create a new generation of American educators, American teachers of the deaf. These energetic and forward-thinking young teachers will lift our deaf out of their ignorance and bring them fully into knowledge of their rights and responsibilities in the modern world. Kendall Green has a destiny to become a beacon of light for all those unfortunate American children who do not have access to education and thus are denied access to religion, morality, and God's righteousness. Kendall Green can lead the nation, and yes, the world, You, ladies and gentlemen, seated at this table are the angels of that destiny. Your strength and your vision.
Our money.
Well, your vision will go down in history. A teacher's college at Kendall Green, dedicated to the latest teaching methods, the best hygiene, and the highest moral standards, will change the world for all the unfortunate deaf throughout this great nation of ours.
All in the government dollar, I assume?
Well, partly at least. Mr. Betsheimer, the parent of one of our brightest students, has contributed generously to the project. But it is not nearly enough. We're certainly hoping the U.S. government can chip in its share.
More money. We just voted to increase the subsidy.
Kendall Green is part of the public trust. The superiority of our college reflects the superiority of this great nation.
This has to stop. The U.S. Congress is not a pants pocket, endlessly filled with money to be handed out to whomever asks.
I work for the greater good. The education of our youth is vitally important. And God's work is best done by educated minds.
I don't have an education. I seem to work just fine. You educators are out of touch with real people. Trades, that's what we need to fund. Trades. A self-sustaining trade school for the deaf. And their dependency on handouts. Printing, woodworking, metalsmithing, and, oh, I see, teaching. Teaching is a trade for the deaf.
The teaching is a trade. The teachers' college will not admit deaf students.
But, no. The Appropriations Committee has had enough. I do not think that...
Mr. Chairman, I think you will be pleased, very, very pleased, by our plans for the college, our vision for the nation.
Very, very pleased by the goodness of our students, look at this today.
Public money!
Our citizens' money!
Public funding!
Your constituents'
This test school's so expensive! That public wants more!
Gets re-elected and will send it to your display, and the name goes after you. It's such a righteous legacy. You will not see you. I think you will be free. Very, very our plans for the college, our vision for the nation.
I could be a Lord of the man of God. No contractual. I'll put it to the committee. Don't be disappointed. Our school will be covered. America will move forward. It's our best maybe there's room in this subsidy for a little pork barrel. Yeah.
And once I missed that, what did you say? I've got to catch up with Randall.
But today, Aaron, we will work on the consonant M. Now, M has the same formation as P. The main difference is that the nasal passage is open, by depression of the soft palate so that the voice can flow through the nose, like so. Good. Once more. Yes. Well, we must practice that. So now we will add the vowel A. Now A is among the most sonorous of the elements of speech. For A, as with E, the tongue is high. Now the tongue is directed to the front of the mouth, but not so close to the gum as E. Like so. A. Now you. A. Good. You are making progress. Yes. Gatherings well learning, teaching, having on a hot day, for hours away tonight. A Good.
Sullivan, your painting is so refined. Did you study with someone in Boston?
Never, but thank you, Mrs. Bell.
Oh, Mabel, darling, where are my notes on the vacuum jacket? I have such a headache, and I am due with the bulk of Euro and 3, and oh my. What a picture of womanliness and domesticity. Oh, but Miss Sullivan, surely this can't be good for your poor eyes.
Miss Sullivan, I have no idea.
No, Mrs. Bell, this is wonderful.
I forgot. President Gallaudet sent round a note. He wants to talk to you about the teachers' coalition. Charming man, and what a wonderful politician.
Gallaudet is a humbug.
Alex.
Oh, like that blasted Thomas Edison, who claimed that he invented the telephone. Oh, these self-important American men, they talk out of both sides of their mouths. Gallaudet told me when we met at the Cosmos Club that no deaf students would be admitted to the Teachers' College at Kendall Green. Now I hear from friends on the Appropriations Committee that it is to be a trade school for the deaf students. Soon no one will learn to speak at the blasted school.
That cannot be true. Everyone knows it's better that deaf people learn to speak. Please tell me so.
Oh, there's trouble afoot, my dear. And Gallaudet is loving every moment of it. He is not his father's son for nothing. He will destroy deaf education in America if I let him. He will not rest until not a single deaf child learns to speak. You should hear him talk about Helen Keller. He does not believe that I can teach her to speak.
How is that coming along, dear? You seem a little frustrated with Helen.
Helen will learn to speak.
Well, there's only 4 days left until the Geographic Society meeting.
Helen will learn to speak. I just received a letter from President Harrison. These American leaders are such wonderful men, so friendly, so democratic. He and Mrs. Harrison read Helen's letters in the newspaper. and found them very uplifting. And in this economy, he enclosed a note for you from Mrs. Harrison. It looks like an invitation.
Oh, nice. Mrs. Harrison wants me to drop into the White House on Wednesday. She hopes that I will bring Miss Sullivan and Helen with me.
But where is my lovely little Helen?
Oh, the children took her into the yard to play.
Beth.
No, stop! Helen needs to play, to relax, to exercise her imagination. She is a child, to put too much pressure on her. Now, I don't know how to say this, but Elsie and Daisy feel quite jealous of the time we spend with Helen. They feel quite neglected.
Our daughters, neglected. Oh, by me. Well, I shall go outside right now and tell them how much I love them. I will join in on whatever dainty girl games they are playing. Elsie, Daisy, Helen!
Elsie, we're up on the roof. The roof of the stable. We can see the Capitol building.
Oh, Elsie, Daisy, Helen, get down immediately! Oh, stop. Down! Oh!
Where is the rabbit?
Oh, Mabel, my heart!
What's Miss Aaron?
I'm having to pay you must take to me! Oh, no!
Helen! Helen! What were those accursed rats thinking? Getting straight spirit. Those evil children taking you up onto a ladder onto a roof? What if something had happened to you? Pirates! You are not a pirate. You are a deaf and blind girl who has no time for childish games. Not learn to speak? Dr. Bell is depending on you. I am depending on you. And no well-brought-up girl from Alabama will ever become a pirate!
I'm not afraid the very beginning. Soon I'll conquer this realm night. Once there was pulsing sound and color. Now darkness controls me and silence falls. Here there is touch, there is quivering. This flame, this evil, this glad rush of light. Touch, there is quivering, this time is glad much like light. Singing talent and wisdom high, as well. There is quavering, this quavering, blood, blood, blood. Here there is blood, quavering, this quavering, this blood, blood, blood. I let the break the very beginning. Alan, your tea is ready, and cook made crannock in.
Crannock?
For your headache.
Crannock, delicious. Just a minute here. Damnation! Gallaudet's request for funding to the U.S. Congress. Here it is. He's asked for $5,000 to support teacher education. Listen, for many years, our graduates have been in demand as teachers of the day. The demand for such teachers far exceeds our limited supply. Thus, it is extremely desirable that we increase the funding for teacher training at Kendall Green. He has done it. Gallaudet has done it. He distinctly states here that he intends to train his deaf students to become teachers of the deaf. And he told me he would not do that. To my very face. Oh, the gauntlet has been cast down. The battle has begun. The principals of other deaf schools won't stand for this.
To the Honorable Chairman Radcliffe, it is the opinion of the principals of all schools of the country that the Teachers College, which President Gallaudet proposes, will work injury to the cause of primary schools of this country for the simple reason that deaf teachers cannot teach articulation. I urge you to oppose any and all legislation funding the Teachers College at Kendall Green. Sincerely, Alexander Graham Bell. Interesting. Very interesting.
No, Mama! Curious? Oh, Andrew, look. Dear Professor Fay, several months back, when I read the proposed bill to fund the Teachers College, I completely agreed with Dr. Gallaudet as to the desirability of the establishment of a school of education at Kendall Green. But when I told Dr. Gallaudet that I objected to the wording of the bill, which implied that only deaf students would attend the Teachers College, he refused to change it. Therefore, I and all my colleagues, including Alexander Graham Bell, must oppose this bill. Very respectfully, Zenas Westervelt, Principal, Western New York Institution for Deaf Mutes. It's preposterous. That's an insult. Bell and his rich cronies are trying to destroy my reputation. I must inform the faculty.
My dear boy, I've just heard at a meeting of the Ladies' Auxiliary that Gallaudet is accusing you of dishonesty. He told students and faculty at a public assembly that you are spreading untruths about the Teachers' College.
Me? Gallaudet's the one who said one thing and lobbied Congress for another. Oh.
Randall is dead. How inconvenient. Oh, it's a tragedy. I mean, he was a wonderful statesman. I won't miss him exactly, but that blasted Joseph Cannon is next in line to become chairman of the committee. He's never been a supporter of Kendall Green.
Ah, I've been waiting for this. It's time to cut the fat from the appropriation bills. And I'm afraid President Gallaudet and his cronies will be surprised by the pain they will feel. That deaf college is a constant drain on the national economy.
Mabel, darling, come give me a squeeze. This note is from one of Chairman Cannon's aides. I am going to testify against the School of Education at Kendall Green.
Alice! Bell has swayed the Senate. They voted in committee to table funding for the Teachers' College. Hellfire and damnation! I can't let Bell win.
My father said, son, teach the deaf to speak.
My father said, dear, show the world your strength.
My father said, son, honor your mother with sign.
And he believed speech is the gift, speech is the science. We all have an obligation to help and understand each other. Like my father, I love the sound of speech, how it rumbles in the throat, twists around the tongue, and pushes past the lips. Speech, it delights me.
Like my father, I value reputation, guard my social station. Don't call me deaf and dumb, but hear me shout out loud. I'm a woman with pride.
Like my father, I love the lovely Lord on a deaf child's place when he learns his very lines of a language of their own. It's not like on earth.
My father taught me the glory of words, and I would die if his work was in vain. My father needs my loyalty, and I would die if his work was in vain. My father taught
my mother to sigh.
I would die
I would
if
die if
his
his
work
work
was
was
in
in
vain.
vain.
My father needs
My father
my
left me a legacy,
and I would die
I
if
would
his
die
work
if his work was in vain.
father taught me the glory of my mother's side. I would die if his love was mine. My father gave my loyalty, and I would die if his love would remain in and he believed speech with silence. We all have an obligation to help and understand each other. And he believed speech is a gift, speech is silence. We all have an obligation to help and understand each other. Today, Helen, we will work on the lisping sound. Now, for the tip of the tongue touches the cheek or the gum, and partially intercepts the breath, while leaving interstices over the edge of the tip through which the breath escapes, like so. Now you. Yes, good, good. Once more. As well. We will add that to the list of items to work on. Now, let's turn our attention to the vowel I. Now, with I, the tongue is low in the back of the mouth, and the cavity behind the tongue is widened. Like so. I. Now you. Good, good. You are making progress. Yes.
Learning, well learned and teaching Helen.
On a Skype meet,
Summer's day,
and the week
slips away, there's a dear little girl, an exemplary queen of all.
Helen Keller,
Helen Keller, Helen Keller, Helen Keller.
Mrs. Harrison, Mrs. Bell has arrived with Miss Anne Sullivan and Miss Helen Keller.
Yes, I've been expecting them. Do show them in. Mrs. Bell, what a pleasure. I trust your daughter Daisy is over her nasty cold.
She is. Thank you so much for the lovely note you sent to her. It cheered her up endlessly. She loves your little skit.
Oh, thank you. That pleases me. And your father, Mr. Hubbard, how is he?
He's rather well. He sends his regards.
Oh, lovely. Please let me introduce my dear cousin Eliza and her grandson, Fred. Eliza has been quite deaf since we were both children, but Freddie will be her ears and her voice today.
Oh, delighted, I'm sure. And may I introduce Miss Anne Sullivan and Miss Helen Keller.
What's a pleasure. Oh, we should all have tea. My dear Helen, I understand that you're learning speech. Can you say something to me?
Well, she has already begun to actually. Mrs. Harrison, do you mind if Helen feels your face so she can see you?
I would be insulted if she did not.
Ma'am, are you ill?
I have been unable to shake this cough since we moved into the White House. Why they built this house and the swamp so faulty about them, I just don't know. Still, the new sewers that the District Commission has installed should soon help dry things up a bit. Should help with the rats and the mice, too.
Mrs. Harrison, your face has such strength, such character.
Some feel a woman should be gentle and yielding and not have a thought in her head. Luckily, President Harrison likes a woman with spark, and I am certainly that. Why, just yesterday, the trustees at Johns Hopkins University came to me to see if I would help raise money for their new medical college. Well, said I, only if you will allow women to become medical students.
Really? Women can go to college?
I did, and I hope that you will.
Well, how can I go to college? I am deaf and blind.
That's just logistics.
Just logistics?
Come now, ladies, let's not discourage Helen. We must look to the new generation. There is progress in the world around us as we leave a century behind. We, as women educated, are learning to lift mankind. The distaffs are trained learning as rolling confining walls. With minds grown strong and righteous, we storm the academy's loud halls. With our day frocks starched and ruffled, and our long brushed and brushed, we, as women educated, are learning to save the world. Raise the staff of higher learning, part the sea of needless man. As scientists, writers, and physicians, we'll finish what our sisters began.
Our silence is not compliance, and our sweetness is not weak. We as women have knowledge, no, wisdom when we speak.
With our day frocks starched and ruffled, and our long hair brushed and curled, we as women educated are learning to save the world. With our day frocks starched and ruffled, and our long hair brushed and curled, we as women educated are learning to save the world. We as women educated are learning to save the world. Oh, imagine Helen Keller, internationally renowned surgeon. Oh. Do send Helen to medical college. She could be the next Dr. Elizabeth Blackwell.
But I don't like the smell of blood.
I can see it now. I could send a note round to the trustees at Johns Hopkins.
I do believe Helen would like to be a writer.
A writer? Pity. We are at the beginning of a modern age, and any modern woman needs education. Even a writer. Oh, Helen, imagine what a first-class educator could do for you.
A college degree for me.
Yes. Oh, Helen, I understand that you love dogs. Come outside with me to see my little Missy. Her puppies are just marvelous.
A college degree for her. Well, what about me?
Step forward, Dr. Bell.
Honored gentlemen of the Appropriations Committee, I have daily, hourly experience of the value of teaching the deaf to speak and to lip read in my own home. My dear wife, Mabel Hubbard Bell, easily passes for hearing amongst the highest levels of Washington society because of her adeptness at articulation and lip reading. And I was her teacher. And my heart bleeds for the speaking young men at the National College who are placed under deaf teachers with deaf companions. Their speech will wither away, leaving them trapped in a deaf world. Therefore, I urge you to kill this bill in committee. The citizens of this great nation should not fund a major step backwards in deaf education. Thank you, honored gentlemen.
Before we move on, I would like to recognize that Carrie Harrison, the First Lady of the United States, has just entered the House. Welcome, dear lady. President Gallaudet, would you like to make your rebuttal now?
Honored members of the committee, I find I am a good deal aggrieved. It is a pitiful spectacle to see a man of natural generous impulses, such as Dr. Bell, given over to partisan spite. Bell's statements to you are full of garbled statements and misrepresentations.
She, President Gallaudet, she.
Come to order. Come to order.
Hear me, I firmly believe that every deaf student who can should learn to speak. At Kendall Green, we do teach both sign language and articulation.
That's not what I hear. Nothing but wagging of hands at that school.
Furthermore, at our Teachers College, only hearing students will be admitted. We will train only those who can hear to teach the deaf.
No, no. You can't do this. I must train as a teacher. It's my dream.
Gallaudet clearly told this lad that he could attend the Teachers College.
Order, I say! Order! But as a point of clarification, President Gallaudet, I'm sure Chairman Randall told me the purpose of the Teachers College was to supply the deaf with a trade.
Sir, there seems to be a misunderstanding.
I think not.
Well, no deaf students will be admitted to the Teachers College.
No. The only misunderstanding was that I trusted you.
Are you saying, President Gallaudet, that no deaf student at the National College for the Deaf will become a teacher of the deaf?
Sir, you twist my words.
I move for a vote on this matter. All in favor of putting the bill to fund the Teachers College in front of the full House of Representatives, vote aye. All against putting the bill to fund the Teachers College in front of the full House of Representatives, vote nay. The nays have it. The motion fails. Thank you all.
misunderstood me back there.
It's all politics, only politics. Nothing against you, it's not personal.
Oh, Mr. Adams. Mr. Adams, wait a moment. I know exactly how you feel. These herring men and their great schemes for us. Oh! What did you say? I didn't understand you. What did you say?
Amos! Oh, my. What a pickle. Mabel.
Oh, Mabel, darling, may I introduce you to Representative Joseph Cannon from Illinois and his lovely wife. Mr. Cannon has just become chairman of the House Appropriations Committee.
I was so sorry to hear of Mr. Randall's passing. It's such a sad time. Alec and I will miss the chair.
My wife, Mabel.
Delighted.
What a pleasure.
Oh, now I hear you have a beautiful new garden.
Oh,
President Gallaudet, I hear you snuck one by us.
Pardon?
You got your School of Education funded after all. My understanding is that you slipped funding for the Teachers College right by us. It was in your request for articulation of the what?
You misunderstand. I will use that money solely to pay teachers of articulation at the college.
Faculty who will teach at the Teachers College.
True.
And also teach all of the other subjects at the Teachers College.
Yes. And here's our brilliant first student.
Looks like we lost this round. Too bad, old chap.
If we could all come to order, I would like to begin our evening's investigation. Thank you all for coming tonight. I think you know what pleasure it brings me to hold these weekly scientific meetings for the members of the Geographic Society and our friends. As you will see when you peruse the latest edition of Science, our little investigations and conversations here seem to spark the most fantastic developments. But tonight's subject is deaf education. Now, there are many methods of deaf communication, some taught at the private institutions across the nation, and some at the subsidized public college here in the nation's capital. Although we advocates of deaf education do not always agree. There is no argument that great strides have been made during this amazing century in the various methods of deaf communication. One product of these advances is the subject of today's investigation. As a demonstration, Miss Helen Keller has kindly agreed to let us quiz her today on the subject of geography. I will begin. My dear Miss Keller, did the Greeks believe the earth to be flat or spherical in shape?
First, let me say what an honor it is to be here tonight among the brightest stars of the District of Columbia's scientific minds. How warmly the glow of your spirits lights the room. How delightful your questioning souls. In the year 240 BC, the Greek astronomer Eratosthenes of Alexandria used a shadow stick to prove that the earth was round. He also developed the system of latitude and longitude.
Yes, President Gallaudet, please proceed.
My dear Miss Keller, on which continent does the Ottoman Empire lie?
Like its capital, Constantinople, which sits in both Europe and its cousin Asia, the Ottoman Empire stretches from ancient Anatolia to the far deserts of Asia.
Miss Keller, what is the genus and species of penguin that inhabits the North Pole?
Mr. Cannon, there are no penguins at the North Pole. They live at the South Pole. I believe you are thinking of the tufted puffins.
And now, Helen has prepared a wonderful surprise for us. I will not ruin it, but simply let her, shall we say, speak for herself. Proceed, Helen.
I will now recite an excerpt from A Psalm of Life, written by Henry Wadsworth Longfellow. Tell me not in mournful numbers, life is but an empty dream. For the soul is dead that slumbers, and things are not what they seem. Life is real, life is earnest, and the grave is not its goal. Dust thou art, to dust returnest. Was not spoken of the soul.
Well, you did it. I did not believe it was possible. I heard each and every vowel. Helen made a year's progress in 10 days. A deaf-blind girl. Congratulations, old man. Wonderful. Helen's speech gladdened my heart.
Yes, thank you. She's a treasure. She's one child in a million. Her intellectual capability is far superior to that of an ordinary child. I always knew that. I didn't really play fair. I could never teach any other child to speak in 10 days. It just can't be done.
The game is not always fair, and you did it this once. You taught a deaf-blind girl to speak. Amazing. Communication is such a wonderful thing. In all of its ways. All of its ways.
Old man, I am sorry for our misunderstandings of the last week.
I may have been hasty in my judgment of you two.
And my passions may have made me lose my head. Nettles, I am glad that you will get trained as a teacher. This fight was never about you.
To you and I, perhaps. To Emeralds, it was. Painfully so.
Yes.
Dr. Bell, I've been thinking.
Yes, with you.
I want to become a great man. I want to lead to a prince on the sands of time.
You want to be a great man. Why not a great lady?
Well, I want future generations to remember me, and not just as a deaf and blind girl. Well, I think you can be fantastic, amazing, a great writer, a world leader, perhaps even a pirate someday. What help do you need? College. I guess I could go to college with you. It must be enough for me. Apparently, it is my destiny. Precisely. I'm glad we understand each other. Now, let's get back to the park. What did you say? I missed. Oh, Mr. Adams. I want to communicate. He wants to communicate. She wants to communicate. I want to communicate. I have things to say. I have things to say. I talk with my hands. I hear with my ears. I hear with my eyes. It's natural. It's cool after all. It's what we do. I want to communicate. I need to communicate. I have things to say. I have things to say. I want to communicate. I need to communicate. I have things to
Ladies and gentlemen, Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. Like there's a circus back there. My name is Carrie, and I'm an acting company member here with WSC Avant-Garde. This is my partner in crime, Adam, and he is pretty much the best. Thank you so much for joining us for this world premiere musical. We feel very privileged to bring it to you with our friends here at Gallaudet University. Before you head out today, bye guys. We wanted to just take 2 more minutes before the after chat begins to let you know what else is going on this season. Last weekend, we opened a play called There Is a Happiness That Morning Is at our resident theater called Theater on the Run in Arlington, Virginia. We had the opportunity to present that as part of last year's DC Fringe Festival, and we're excited to bring it back to a wider audience. This December, Avant-Garde turns 25, and we're celebrating our anniversary by bringing you that timeless holiday classic, A Klingon Christmas Carol. That's right, the language of Star Trek. This February, we're teaming up with Lean and Hungry Theater to present Shakespeare's Othello, and we close our season with a brand new translation of The Mad Woman of Chaillot. It's French, it's down and dirty, it is everything that Avant-Garde loves about theater. We hope that you'll be able to join us for one of these other productions this year. Now, we are a small nonprofit theater company, and we rely on the kindness of strangers. As you exit the theater, either before the after chat or if you choose to stick around, there will be 2 beautiful actors begging at the door. Those of you joining us through our Howl Round live stream, you're also welcome to make a donation through our website at avantgarde.org. That's right, everybody. If you have anything else that you can possibly give. Ladies, if your coin purses are bursting at the zipper seams. Gentlemen, if your money bags are weighing down your pockets. We will accept whatever you can possibly give. We'll take your pocket lint, your paper clips, your pennies, nickels, singles, 20s, personal checks. We cannot at this time accept credit cards, except for online, but in person we are working on it. We hope that you will stick around for our after chat today. They've been exceptional discussions. And if you don't, we hope to see you in the future. Please stay warm and have a wonderful holiday season. Thank you.
This must have been very distracting. Sorry. No worries. Thank you.
Good evening. Oh, that's it.
Probably one more time. No, actually, let's do that. I've never seen the campus. Sorry, folks, we're just working out some logistics here. Thank you all so much for coming to the show and for staying afterwards. I'd like to introduce a couple of very special guests. First of all, Mary Reesing, playwright. And Meredith Peruzzi, who is a historian. She's the curator of an exhibit here on campus right now. She helped us with some of the historical research and wrote a wonderful blog post about some of the history behind this play. I usually turn it over to Meredith first in these post-show discussions, but actually I'd like to start with Mary Reesing. And actually first, let's go around and let's introduce ourselves over here. Starting over here with Brady. Brady.
Hi, I play Adolf. My actual name is Brady. I played May. My name is Taisha. I played Jacob, and my name is Jose. Thank you for coming. I'm Sam. I played Enel. And I'm Erin. Hi, I'm Erin. I'm a playwright. Meredith.
I'm Tom Baldridge. I play Meyer, President Gallaudet, and I'm on the faculty here at Gallaudet.
Hi, I'm Miranda. I play Helen Keller, and I'm a graduate student here at Gallaudet. I'm Adam Bartley, interpreter here at Gallaudet, and my first time joining this crazy group in a performance.
And I'm Tom Pruitt. I'm artistic director of WSC Avant-Garde and also the director of today's show. Okay, I started to ask, Mary Reesing, can you talk to us a little bit about how you got started writing this piece?
Well, the short story is I was commissioned to write this piece by a theater company called Open Circle that specialized in doing musicals that combine casts of deaf and hearing actors. And so I worked with them for about 2 years on this play. Tom directed all the developmental steps. So that's the simple question, simple way I started writing this play. And I've been thinking a lot because I've been asked a lot about how did I write the characters, where do they come from? And I realized that a lot of the heart of this play for me came from my experience working as a Fulbright scholar in Armenia, where I took the whole family, and a lot of the play, as I watched it, I thought, oh yeah, that's about how we struggled to communicate when we were in Armenia, and how the Armenians who speak a language that only about 2 million people were struggling to communicate with the outside world. So that's sort of where the emotional part of this play came for me. Also, I did tons and tons of research, and a lot of what you hear on stage from the actors speak are the actual words that the historical characters spoke as well.
Can you cite a couple of examples of that?
Helen Keller's song, Here There Is Touch, There's Quivering, is actually from a poem that Helen Keller wrote. Not the whole thing, I stole bits and pieces, but a lot of the language, and certainly most of the ideas were coming from Helen Keller's own writings, and in particular that poem. Almost all the things that Gallaudet and Bell spoke in public came from their actual public speaking.
Great. And Meredith, would you like to talk a little bit about what you learned when you did research about this play and the historical background on this play?
Yes, so really, actually, the play is pretty historically accurate to some degree. What you see here is really a combining of actually several years as opposed to 2 weeks where the play takes place. It's for the purpose of the audience to understand what's happening in a shorter time span, but was done so appropriately. There were some modifications made for artistic purposes. For example, the communication style for Helen Keller. She actually didn't use sign. She used finger spelling in the hands. But for the purpose of the audience, to have them be able to understand, we used sign, plus we used the hand placement down so that the signs would be more clear to the audience. Annel's character as well was a mix of different people. Real people, yes. Adams was a real person. He was African-American student here. He was actually the second African-American student here, but he didn't graduate. So that character is a mix of several different students who went through that same experience. And so that was all included within his character. Do you want to talk about the cartoon?
Oh, yes, why don't you go ahead?
So maybe when you were watching the play, you noticed we have these two characters in the back. You may be wondering why they did their bodies. This actually happened in Washington, D.C. There was a newspaper, of course, here, and they were aware of this debate that was going to happen between Gallaudet and Bell on Capitol Hill. So they were in a political cartoon, and you'll see Bell on the right and Minor on the left. And that was actually taken from a contemporary cartoon and put into the set.
The set was, as you know, the program was designed by Ethan Sennett, who was the chair of the Department of Theater Dance Program here at Gallaudet. And it is he over there? Is he hiding? Is he? There he is. Ethan has been my partner in crime in this whole project. We have worked very closely together, and I can't tell him how thankful I am, how grateful I am to this program for this opportunity and for making this possible. Again, avant-garde. You heard Carrie's speech after the show about how poor we are and how small we are. It's all true. And so, it would not have been possible if we hadn't been able to team up and work together on this project. So thank you, Ethan. Thank you very much.
You're more than welcome. Thank you to Avant-Garde for bringing this idea to us a long time ago. It was a year ago. It's hard to believe that we've been working on this project for a year, and here it is coming to fruition. So congratulations.
I meant to mention that this whole HowlRound live stream broadcast and this discussion is being captioned by the National Captioning Institute. So it's been streaming captioning this whole time. And they've asked me, when you have questions or comments, for me to repeat them so that people can hear it on the camera and so forth. So I'd like to turn it over to you all. We call them unscripted after chats. That's exactly what they are. Totally unscripted. So ask whatever you would like. Yes. Yes.
I feel very much at a disadvantage because I don't sign, but I want to say that this was the most effective production. The blocking was very clever, the music was lovely, and you were all so committed to your parts. It was a joy. And Aaron, you are a dancer, my dear.
Thank you very much.
Yes, and if I can respond to that, I did grow up in dance, and I was involved in step, and I've always been involved with music. And that's been a part of me since I was 14 years old. So now 15 years involved in music. So thanks for the comment.
Yes, back here.
I'm curious about A.G. Bell's involvement with the conference in Milan. Was he influential there?
The question was about A.G. Bell's involvement in the conference, the famous conference in Milan. Was he influential? Meredith?
He actually didn't go to the conference. There were plenty of oralists there instead. There was only one deaf American there, and it really was Well, Belle didn't need to go. There was plenty of Laura listed for the class.
Yes, yes, ma'am.
My son, who is 15, is starting to take ASL for the first time, and I wondered if there's some sort of immersion program or something like that that you all might have for the summer for a child.
The question is there an immersion program for ASL here at Gallaudet University? What was that?
After high school graduation, students can come as part of the Jumpstart program, and there they offer 4-week or 5-week intensive ASL courses. They have peer coaches and peer mentors to help learn what Gallaudet looks like, and also to teach the ATs of American Sign Language. So if that's a good start for you, it's right before the fall semester starts. Get a feel of campus, and then by mid-semester, they're really ready to go. I have a quick question though. For the high school student, you want to know if there's an immersion program for that? For your son?
Yeah.
Okay, so we do have immersion programs like that. I'm not completely sure. Tom, you may know. There is a 2-week summer camp that we are open to students that are learning ASL. We have intensive studies during that time for hearing students that are learning ASL. And it's traditionally done annually. So there is a program for that.
Thank you.
Yes. Here, now get you.
Thanks. I was wondering about the historical accuracy of the scene towards the end where Helen Keller is giving her presentation to the National Geographic Society, and how that was received, what the historical record says about how that went.
Thank you. So the question was about the final scene, really, of the play at the meeting of the National Geographic Society, and whether that actually took place and how Helen Keller's recitation was received.
Well, first I should say that scene is pretty much made up.
So it's very well received, right?
But secondly, I want to say that this was an era where public speaking was a major form of entertainment. It was sort of the reality TV of the 1890s. And both Belle and Helen Keller were giving speeches all the time, giving performances all the time. This play is set at sort of the very beginning of Helen Keller's career as sort of a public speaker and inspirational speaker. But she did it all the time. And she did it all the time to the rest of her life. At this time, she's just beginning her education. She goes on, of course, to become a major leader in politics. She becomes a socialist. She's a feminist. She does all kinds of. She becomes a huge advocate for the blind, not the deaf. That what she chose. She had to choose, and so she chose to become an advocate for the blind. But at the very beginning, this is where she's learning to become an advocate and learning to present herself to the public. And Alexander Graham Bell was a third-generation teacher of elocution. Both his father and his grandfather toured the world giving talks. And Alexander Graham Bell started doing that when he was very young, so he just expected that everybody could get up and speak. And in fact, the Gallaudet students of this era often were expected to get up and perform in front of crowds, get up and give speeches, get up and perform poetry. Helen Keller did learn to speak. She did work with Alexander Graham Bell on her speech, but it was a long process for her. Yes. But there's actually a YouTube video where you can see her speak.
Yes.
If I can just add something real quick. If you actually watch that film online of Helen Keller, she says that her biggest regret in life is that she couldn't speak clearly. She could be understood by people who knew her privately, but not by the general public. And she did say that that was her biggest regret in life.
I think this most
mostly for Tom and Miranda, but just generally for anybody in the cast who played a historical figure. What kind of research did you do to play those roles? To play Gallaudet, to play Helen Keller, and to play, the First Lady, and so on?
What kind of research did it take to portray these famous characters, these historical characters? Thank you.
There is a book written about this debates between Bell and Gallaudet. So I read that book. I read that book, and it gave me a great insight into Gallaudet's aspirations. That he first wanted to be involved in business. He wanted to become rich. Tried that out. Found it wasn't a good fit. His mother was deaf. He'd grown up in a deaf school that his father had founded, and he found that that was his niche. And as a young man, took over the school here, and within 7 years had managed to make it into a college, and within a few years after that, had the funds for these magnificent buildings. And so he's a very self-confident, very ambitious man, but also a firm believer in his philosophy of education and what he wanted to provide to the deaf community. Also, that he did support speech among deaf people, if they could, but not to the exclusion of learning other things through sign language.
There were actually a lot of books that were about Helen Keller, but it was her later in life. And so I was trying to focus on her childhood before she turned 13. So there wasn't a lot of research out there. People grow so much in those formative years that I wanted to make sure to include that in my character. Helen Keller met Anne Sullivan when she was 7. So I really focused on this time period of 7 to 13 and how it was raw. It was still very early, very emotional. She could behave herself in public, but any way that she could still kind of cause that mischief. She wanted to take advantage of the opportunities that were out there. For example, with the typewriter, wanted to do that, stopping her feet, knowing that it bothered other people, but making this more. So she was trying to be polite, but take advantage of what she could at the same time. So I had to find that happy medium of politeness and some fun in there too. So I just sort of made up my own Helen Keller.
And I played Amy Sullivan, which is a great joy for me. I had a lot of people recommend to me when I told them that I was playing this role that I watched The Miracle Worker, any of the film adaptations. And I did not do that purposefully because I wanted to derive the character from the direct source material, which I consider to be Helen Keller's autobiography, as well as the book, which I think focuses on a very a fascinating, very liminal time in Anne Sullivan's life, where she does not realize that she is in fact going to be a part of Helen Keller's life for the rest of her life, and how greatly influential that's going to be. So as far as my research, I talked to Mary quite a bit about this period of Anne's life, and I read parts of Helen Keller's autobiography, which is beautiful. And the most striking part of the book that I read that really influenced my performance is when a chapter in which Helen describes an incident where after still young in her childhood, when Anne Sullivan tells her, "I love you." She spells out into Helen Keller's hand, "I love you." And Helen does not understand, she does not comprehend what that phrase means. And it takes more months for her to understand. And that knowing that Anne Sullivan loved Helen Keller as a child, as her own child in a way, was hugely influential to my understanding of their relationship.
Anybody else? No? Okay. Next question or comment? Yes.
I was curious how you worked to recreate the old style of sign language and how you made the decision that Mrs. Bell would have a very clear articulation.
There was a gentleman named Aaron Cubey who served as the director of artistic sign language for this production. Meaning, it was his responsibility. I'm sorry, he's not here. It was his job to make sure that the signing kind of, in Miranda's words, split the difference between what it would have been authentically in the 1890s, and of course languages change and grow and evolve over time. So some of those signs are no longer done the same way. It's not the same language norm. So it was his job really to split the difference between then and now, so that the audience could appreciate it and follow along, but at the same time have that sort of slightly antique quality to it at various times. So I'm sorry, he's not here to address that question. As far as Mabel Bell, would you like to talk about her?
Sure, I can. So Mabel had speech before illness in her death when she was 5 years old. And in the research for the play and then in conversations with the production team, we discovered that there was no clear evidence that she spoke with what could be considered like a deaf accent. History says that she has a bit of a weird tone to her voice, but you don't want to interpret that in a way that could particularly be offensive. So for the purpose of this play, and knowing that through lip reading she could be understood in society, we elected to have her speak. I spoke clearly. And that was an artistic choice. And so it could really go either way. I don't know if there's anything that you would like to follow up with, or no.
Yeah, I think one of the interesting things was she's from Boston, and so one of the things we struggled with and that we talked a lot about is, did she have a Boston accent? and it was, and similarly, Bell, there he is. We discussed whether or not Bell had a Scottish accent because he's Scottish, but then his father taught elocution. So there was like, what was his, and he grew up partly in Canada. So what was his accent? And it was.
Amazing stuff.
As it would have been. I was really interested in that.
But whenever you do a play, this play or any other play, you really don't want the accents to get in the way of telling this story. And so this is where we arrived.
And there was, just from speaking as the director, there is a lot going on in this play that has to do with different modes of communication, different styles of communication. To layer onto that too thick an accent for any one character would, kind of muddy it a little bit. I think. So we, as people were saying, we made the conscious choice to not go that route, to let the different forms of communication that are already in evidence on the stage speak for themselves.
Yeah. One instance of that was when Laura Redden-Ziering, in the scene with Laura Redden-Ziering, where Laura Redden-Ziering actually liked to write back and forth. Do you want to talk about that?
Yes, Laura Redden-Ziering preferred to write. That was her preference. I don't know why, that's hiding.
I think she wrote because she was a journalist and she was interviewing a lot of people who weren't deaf.
And often initially deaf, and often one day maybe her signing she wasn't out of know. I think she didn't know enough.
There weren't perhaps enough people who she was interacting with who could sign back.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, but anyway, in the scene, we tried it at some point with her just writing back and forth, and it became so complicated to do on stage that we cheated.
And even with the cheating, it resulted in what to me is one of the kind of I don't know, but the most notable scenes in the play kind of capsulizes the struggle to communicate, where you have one character over here typing away and then handing off notes, written notes to somebody who voices it and somebody else who's signing. And so in that one little scene, you have kind of in a nutshell what the whole play is really about. I think it's brilliant, brilliant writing. Let's see. I think I had somebody up here, and then I'll come back to you. Yes, ma'am. Okay. Up here.
Hi, and I'm fascinated with Miranda's portrayal of Helen Keller. Are you yourself visually impaired? Did you have a deafblind consultant in the play? I thought it was very accurately portrayed.
Actually, Aaron, our coach, Aaron Cooney, is also a counselor for the blind, so he works as a CDI as well. So he consulted with us in terms of that, figuring out what the visual impairment would look like and what would happen back then, how deafblind people are more sensitive to touch, for example, and how they can use their other senses. So that's really how I learned, was from Aaron's guidance. And I'm not
Yes.
Yes, I'm curious why you chose to turn this play into a musical.
Because it was commissioned as a musical. I was commissioned to write a musical. I was commissioned to write a musical, so I wrote a musical. That's how it came.
Specifically, there is a theater company called Open Circle Theater that does generally very large cast plays, and I believe that Susie Richard, who was here last night, saw the show last night, that she basically said to you, write me a large cast musical with a lot of roles for deaf actors.
Yeah, and I think the thing that I did differently from what they had done in the past is what they had is they would double cast. So every role was played by a hearing actor and a deaf actor. And for better or worse, and to just make Tom pull his hair out, I decided to throw that away, to have each character be their own, and each character just be their character, and if they spoke, they spoke, if they signed, they signed, and see how that worked on stage. And I liked it.
Me too. Yes, ma'am.
Will the play that can be done in other cities?
We certainly hope so. I'll tell you one of the goals, my goals in accepting this project and embracing this project really, and wanting to do it so badly here in the District of Columbia, where all the events took place, was partly to prove to producers around the country that this play can, first of all, and should be done, to make it, and this certainly the HowlRound live stream broadcast hopefully will spread the word. It will be visual proof that it once was done, and not by a huge theater, but by a theater company that was willing to take chances, by a really outstanding theater department that is also willing to take chances, and that working together, we made it happen. And working together, obviously, with an incredible artistic and production team, including these wonderful actors. So I really, really hope, I do think it should be done in every city in the country, and I hope it will be.
Just to go back for a second to the question about musical, I didn't mean, that was the literal truth. But the other truth is that I'm a strong believer in heightened moments on stage, moments when productions step away from realism. And I was really, really interested in the sort of the sign and deaf equivalent of the musical theater moment. And I had seen in other productions moments where deaf actors were able to create these wonderful, wonderful sort of musical moments that were, yes, silent, but also very, very rhythmic and just sort of beautiful in the same way that musical theater moments are. And so that's what I was looking for in this, was sort of, I wanted it to be sort of equal I wanted heightened moments for ASL moments, deaf communication moments, and that's what it was. So yes, it's a musical, but it's also, I don't know how to describe what my collaborators did. Like, fantastic heightened theatricality.
We have time for one or two more. Oh, I see somebody in the, oh, sorry.
Can I actually add to that? If the play would tour or where it should be held, you do have to remember that most of what you saw had happened, and not only on Capitol Hill, but right here on campus. Gallaudet University, Bell Lecture happened in Chapel Hall, which is here on campus in 1880. You can go and stand where Alexander Graham Bell stood. The museum is there now. So Minor Gallaudet actually lectured there as well. Helen Keller came to campus. So everything actually happened right here. So it could have happened, this play could have taken place anywhere in DC, but it didn't. Most of the collaboration with Gallaudet Theater and Dance Company meant it happened right here on campus. So that's a pretty cool concept.
Wait, in the back.
I think you mentioned that the curator put together an exhibit here on campus possibly, and if you could describe what the exhibit's about and if we can go see it and where.
Yes, we do have an exhibit in Chapel Hall where Bell gave his lecture. The exhibit is called Gallaudet at 150 and Beyond. This year actually marks Gallaudet University's 150th anniversary. So as part of that celebration, we opened our first permanent museum exhibit. And it includes everything that you actually saw here happening, plus the 150 years of Gallaudet University. Unfortunately, right now, it's only open during the week, Monday through Friday, so it's actually closed today. But it will be open 10 to 4, Monday through Friday, so feel free to come and take a look at that anytime.
Last one, yes.
I just wanted to congratulate Sarah Ann.
Oh.
Wonderful portrayal of Anne Sullivan. Thought you were fabulous. My question to you is, do you have any prior knowledge of sign language? Because it was beautiful. I'm the child, I'm CODA. So I'm just saying.
The question was, did I have any prior knowledge of ASL? And the answer to that is no, I did not. Thank you so much, Beverly. I learned a lot of sign language for the show with Erin Kuby, as mentioned, our director of artistic sign language, and I've always been very interested in American Sign Language and its expressive capabilities. So this show was really a joyous challenge for me, and I came away with some with new knowledge, new friends, new experience. So thank you very much, everyone.
Okay, one last.
So my question is actually to the deaf cast members. How did you feel singing? What did that feel like? I actually love musicals. And the opportunity here at Gallaudet, I wanted to make sure that I took this chance of a lifetime. In the real world, it's also impossible for us to do something like this. And I. King Jordan said that deaf people can do anything but hear. So as my character, Jacob, coming from a hearing family, have no knowledge of sign before coming to campus, and maybe wanting that sense of being able to sing. So I asked if I could actually sing. There was no one forcing me to do that. I was willing to sing myself and wanted to do that. And it all sort of to come together, sort of this emotional deaf person wanting to do it. And I love musicals and was happy to have the opportunity. Yeah, I actually just wanted to add, like I said previously, I grew up in music. I come from a musical family, and I do play piano a little bit, and I'm crazy about music. There's a lot of music videos. You can see me on YouTube.com. You can see all my videos that are posted there. Yeah, actually, both of us work together on several videos. I also worked with Elisa, who was our head musician. She played piano for years, so I worked with her, sat with her a lot, listened to the music over and over again. With the song "Give Me a Sign," I didn't sing at all, so we just had to follow the rhythm and be able to get involved with that. So we felt the rhythm, and that was a challenge, of course, because even though I was able to guide them a little bit in the musical aspect, we had to make sure that we weren't off beat. And really that whole I want communication, I was also sort of a lead in that as well. And with Helen Keller too, just taking the opportunity to sign without singing, but still being involved in that musical process. It took a lot of practice, but I felt like we were able to combine these aspects of a musical to create a wonderful story. I wanted to add too, I didn't sing, of course, but I did speak the poem, and I had never learned to speak at all. I had never been involved in speech therapy. This was the first time that I approached this. And Aaron, who is the director of Artistic ASL, also knows how to speak, so he taught me a few lessons, and it was really tough because, of course, I didn't know how to use this tonality. I didn't know how to use my breath. My throat would hurt when I was trying to practice. As a deaf person, I didn't really want to learn to speak because I was deaf. So that was another thing that I needed. So how could I? People expect us to speak. How could they expect us to speak if we can't hear? So it's something that I strongly disagree with. And I feel as a deaf person, as my identity, I need to be aware of that. But I also had to understand where Helen Keller was coming from and what history told us that she could speak, and that kind of fitting my identity with hers and coming up with this character for
I'd like to add one thing. There's a song that Helen signs, and there are two female singers, and she's perfectly in sync with the words that she can't hear because of the lighting cues that she memorized to keep parallel with the sung voices. I thought that was very impressive.
And I will add to that I think all of us remember the rehearsal where the first time we actually ran through that National Geographic Society meeting scene, and where Randy took the plunge. And it was an amazing act of courage for this young actress to go ahead and to give it her all, to try to speak. And it was incredibly moving, as I'm sure you felt in performance, but it was certainly very, very moving and one of the most remarkable accomplishments I've ever had the privilege of being involved with. So, and really, I think that goes for this entire cast. I think that it is a really remarkable accomplishment from my point of view, to work together, to learn not only to communicate here on stage, but also backstage, and when they're sitting in the theater waiting for their turn to rehearse, and when we were building the lighting cues, cue after cue, so that people could know where we were in the song and so forth. It has been a remarkable journey for all of us. So thank you very much for sharing it. I want to say happy birthday, Gallaudet University. They're 150 years old this year. And happy birthday to WSC Avant-Garde. We're 25 years. So thank you all very much for coming and for staying here. Thank you very much. Thank you.